Hope everyone's doing well. Just make sure we are all good. Looks like everything's working. Cool. So we've got some good news coming up. There's a couple of things that I've had a million requests for that'll be coming into the channel for some reviews. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Want to make sure this is all good to go. So welcome everybody. We've just gone live. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll just pop this chat out so I can see a little bit more. All right, Pork Chop, welcome. How are you? Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully we are good to go. It looks like it's all working. So, yeah, any problems, feel free to let me know. But we should be in business. I'm back to my old setup. So, yeah, we shouldn't have too many problems with it working. Fingers crossed. All right, we've got Jamal. Welcome, mate. We've got Gary and Grumpy Mike. Welcome, guys. So I'll give you a bit of news just before everybody joins, in case people watch it on the replay. I've got a Fender Mustang GTX 50 coming in over maybe in the next week or so. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, I'll have my hands on one finally. So yeah, that'll be cool. I'll be able to give you a review and a bit of a comparison from my experience with the other couple of amps as well. So that should be pretty fun. Fender morning. So I was like, oh, cool. I had no expectations of that. So it was pretty cool. Actually, Ryan just asked about that exact thing. So I haven't tried the GTX yet. There's one on the way as of today, or it might leave tomorrow. So it'll be turning up at some point pretty soon. Now, just bear with me one sec, guys. I want to make sure we are all good. If there's any issues with the stream, please let us know, but fingers crossed it should be working all right. We've got Kevin Hall. Welcome, mate. My latest video on different recording methods was excellent. Thanks for that. I really feel like people are always a bit scared to try recording with whatever they got. You know, almost anything will work. It's one of the kind of misconceptions is you need the latest and greatest of everything to get a great guitar sound. So you don't, you know, that little Joyo thing is just unbelievably good, or the Amoon one that I've got. But yeah, it's such a great device that you can really get great tones on a budget. I've used those for albums. So thanks. I appreciate the kind words. My question was going to be when you get a review of the Mustang. It's coming up. So probably next week or the week after. The video will go live pretty soon after well, not pretty soon after I get it. I'll probably hold on to it for a week, play with it, release a video, something like that. It might even turn up tomorrow. I'm not too sure. It may take a few days. I don't know where Fender are based in Australia. I have no idea. Hope all is well over there. Shane, what would you consider a Suhr as your main future strat? I like their stuff. You know, one of the best tallies I've ever played was the Suhr. So there's a possibility of that, but I would need to find one that I could. They're expensive as here too. Like they're a little overpriced in my opinion, but they're great guitars. Maybe if I travel again and I find one that's great, you know, there's always a possibility of that. But, you know, the Strat I would love to have long-term is the 50s original one. That, for me, is pretty much perfect. So, but Suhr are great. You know, I watched Michael Wagner play his part on our big collaboration jam we did with all the other guys off YouTube and the touring pros. And his tone was unreal. So, yeah, there's every possibility that would influence me enough to want to check one out. Why am I here? Notification just took me here. Oh, welcome, Data Wretch. Sorry. Hey, Robert Baker. Welcome, mate. Hope you're well. You did the marathon 8-hour live stream the other night. It just kept saying you were online. That was hilarious. I woke up and you were still live. I was like, oh, that's weird. So, yeah. All right, looks like it's working. That's cool. Any future videos on amp modeling software? You know, I'm not that into that kind of stuff, to be honest. To shoot a video and to record the screen and then to sync all that up, it's a bit of a pain, and I don't use it personally. So I don't know if I'm going to do too many of those kind of videos coming up. I tend to record the way I know how, and that was part of the reason I put that other video together. The software that I use to record all my music, it's old, and it doesn't work really that well with a lot of, you know, bias effects and all that kind of stuff. I've tried them before, and I I find it way more fiddly than just plugging in. So yeah, and I don't really need software either, so it's not something high on my list, but you can get great results out of it. I'm not against it. I don't really need it. What do I think about the Inspired by Gibson line by Epiphone? You know, Epiphone have always made great guitars. I haven't tried them personally, these new ones, but I'm pretty impressed from what I saw from them. Absolutely. I think that isn't one of them made in the States, and it's like pretty much the same price as a Gibson? I don't know. Maybe I throw that question back at everybody else. How have I been handling my recent guitar purge? Getting twitchy for new gear. That's from Paul. Man, I haven't missed any of those guitars. That's just the best feeling, just to clear them all out. You know, I actually got something that turned up yesterday afternoon here that is pretty sweet. I got to tell you, it's a guitar brand I've never tried or played before or seen in person, and it's pretty good. I got a first impressions video coming up, maybe tomorrow morning. We'll see how we go. But I haven't missed any of those guitars. Like, I haven't even thought once, oh man, I'd love to play that. Nothing. No. So I'm loving it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not that attached to stuff. I don't know what it is. Like, some guitars, obviously, I'm not going to get rid of, and I want my collection just to be those guitars. Like Robert Baker's got some great guitars he'll never move on, and that's the kind of approach I want to take with it now, because there's no reason to buy stepping stone guitars or filler. Well, I've written an article about this, actually. It's coming up pretty soon, but it basically says, why buy fillers? You know, buy one you got to keep long term if you've been playing a while, because you'll just end up always looking for something else. I'm a bit over that, to be honest. I love guitars, but I'm going to get the next Strat I actually purchase for myself will be the one that I keep for quite a long time. At least I hope so. Why don't more pedal reviews shows the 18 volts versus 9 volts characteristics on a pedal? You know what? There's not a lot of difference. And the difference probably isn't something you could really hear over YouTube and a video. I've messed with 18 volts and 9 volt pedals, or tried them on both power supplies if they can handle 9 or 18, because not all of them can. So if you plug 18 volts into a 9 volt power supply, it's going to blow. So you've got to be careful with that. But yeah, I don't think there's that much of a difference from what I've owned many pedals that could do that, and there's not that much of a difference. People say it's a headroom thing, but no one really knows how to describe that. It's more of a feel thing. I think it feels slightly cleaner, and maybe it has a little bit more of a, it isn't even like a body of sound thing. It's hard to explain. I would just say try it yourself and see what you think. I don't really watch any pedal videos anymore. I've really just stopped making them myself to some extent. I might do now that we've got the lockdown, but I haven't been doing too many pedal videos. I really think they should sound good on 9 volts. The good ones usually have a 9 volt input, and then they can voltage double internally. So they're the ones to go for. It saves you having to buy a separate power supply and hooking all that stuff up. It's just a pain. David says, greetings from Seattle. Have an 80s Yamaha SBG 500. What kind of P90 should I put in it? Man, you know what? I just say go for a Gibson P90. To get them right. I don't know if... The problem with a lot of boutique pickups, they can say that they're built to some other spec or whatever, but they're probably always going to be that little bit different. So if you love the sound of a Gibson P90, just go for that. I always suggest this to people. Pickups are like a rabbit hole, right? You can always, if you don't like something for some reason, it could just be your amp settings or the way you attack the strings, or it could be a number of different things. Yeah, pickups are a bit of a last resort swap a lot of the time. It can help, definitely, but I would just say go for what you know. If you like a Gibson P90, just put that in. That's what I would do. I got asked the other day from one of my friends, like, I want to put a burst bucker in. Should I get this or this? Just get a Gibson one. They got them right. Man, there's plenty of good pickup builders out there, but you're taking a risk because they're basically copying that, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, that's how I sort of feel about it. But trust your ears. Try to find something that really speaks to you in terms of tone as well. Jamal says, apparently Epiphone are making left-handed inspired Gibson models. They were on the Toman side. Oh, very cool. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Amanda, welcome. How you doing? We've got Drittle here as well. Yeah, Robert Baker says, I agree. I'm only focused on getting keepers. Yeah, that's the way to go. I mean, it stops you sort of, you know, I knew this a while back. You know, I went to a couple of local guitar shows and it's fun to look around, but when nothing really jumps out at you as, oh man, I'd love to own that, that's when you know you're pretty much sorted. I really don't feel like, I haven't even missed not having a Strat really. Like it's not something that I had the Dan Electro and there might be one coming up on the channel soon, but since I sold that one, the one that I had, I haven't missed it, you know, and I just really feel like to get something that's not going to last long term is a waste of money. So I'm definitely not going to do that. I recently purchased the Kemper powered head. Do you have any profiles for sale or for download? I do. So I made a series of videos where you could just download them for free. I don't sell them or anything like that. And I also don't share them on the site because I always through the Kemper software because it always had the wrong information and I could never edit it properly. So just go through, just type in Kemper in the blues and you should see some free patches you can just download. Well, let me just scroll up. The chat just moved here. Fishy Paw says, what time do you call this to do a live stream? I'm just about to go to bed. So it's not even 1 p.m. here at the moment. Yeah, I know. It's a different time. I usually would go live earlier in the morning, but I had a few things to do this morning. Let me scroll down. Hopefully I haven't missed any questions here. Sorry if I have. The chat just went. I really hope Epiphone or Gibson start making 339s in left-handed. That would be a guitar I'd love to check out just to see if there's, you know, if how it feels because a smaller 335 would be really cool. I love 335s, but I'm a short guy, so it looks a bit weird. Has anyone tried the Suhr Classic Antique before? So I've tried a few of those actually over the years. I've tried the Antique T, which was their Tally. I was so close to buying that from Jerry's Lefty Guitars many years ago. It was beautiful, and I tried some of the Strats from that series, and they were unreal. So great guitars, absolutely. They had the most vibe out of all of those sort of Fender style brands. You know, the Suhr ones they felt great. The neck was that roasted maple kind of stuff. It was slightly relict, but nothing too crazy. It looked good. And I tried some called Tom Anderson as well, which just didn't, they felt a little dead. I don't know how else to explain it. They're nice guitars and they're built well, but they didn't have the same sort of just beautiful sound about them. So yeah, I got to try some really interesting guitars that year, and the Tom Anderson ones were okay. I think looking back on them, but they weren't as good as those Antique Ts from Suhr. Yeah, the Rev Stars aren't. I haven't seen a Rev Star in left-handed. I'd love to try one. Absolutely. I can't stay. I dropped a like for Shane. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. I hope all my homies in the chat are well. Thanks, man. Welcome. And have a good night or day. I sold my American Strat this week. Also sold my GT100. Got a fairly decent price. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, I always feel like, if you're looking for something else than the guitar that you've got isn't a keeper. That's usually how it goes to me. That's one thing I've worked out. I went to Southpaw in Houston once and couldn't find any right-handed guitars. Basically, I think that's supposed to say, which is great. The SS and frets, the stainless steel frets and plec on the Suhr is also a nice thing. Yeah, absolutely. Stainless steel frets should be on all guitars over $1,000. Just put them in there; they'll last forever. It's just one of those silly things that brands just stick to the old ones. I hate the old frets. I would much prefer stainless steel, 100%. I've seen many of your overdrive pedal videos. Has one in particular surfaced to the top of your favorites list? I'm still using the Carrera overdrive from Buffalo Effects and the Royal Flush from VS Audio. Those two on their own are amazing, and those two kind of like together work just fantastic as well. So yeah, the VS Audio Royal Flush, it's a dual overdrive pedal. I usually use the left side, and then I'll either stack the right side into it or I'll stack the Carrera overdrive into that, and it's epic. It's better than any distortion pedal I've ever heard, so I love it. If you want to hear that in action, that big jam I did with Robert Baker and everyone else that went up with all of us in the thumbnail, that's that tone. So that's those two pedals in that video with my Blues Deluxe loud. It's great. Watch says, totally agree. Why Fender don't use stainless steel is beyond me. I don't know either. All these companies, Gibson, and especially if they're vintage frets, like why would you use, frets that are just easily worn if it's a vintage style fret? I even think acoustic guitars would benefit from that as well because they're already small to begin with. I really don't understand it. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate that. Have you played the Ibanez AZs? I don't think so. Tone on the jam was amazing. So was yours, man. Your tone sounded sick. Like right at the end there, that big wall of sound. It was epic. You killed it on that last go around. So I remember why you had an extra 12 bar in that, Robert. I was like, how did I get this wrong? There was supposed to be a 12 bar bass section, but I totally forgot to let Jamie know because I think he recorded it before I'd like given him all the info. He was like, oh, I'll get this done. And I was like, oh, yeah, so there's a section in there where he can throw in a solo, and I totally forgot. So, yeah, Robert got the epic outro. Man, the tone was just, yeah, it was really cool. It's really cool. Chris says, question, what was the name of the music service you were signed up for royalties? You mentioned it before. So I use Distro Kid for uploading all my albums. I actually just put another one up. It's an old album from, I think, around 2010. It's called Another Rainy Day. It's probably the best album I made, at least back then. And yeah, I've got all the links, not in this video, but in the maybe it is in this video. Let me have a look. Yeah, it's in the description of this live stream. Just click the little tab and you'll see Distro Kid. Yeah, if you use that link too, you get, I think it's, was it 7% off for the first 12 months? It's great. I've been using them for long before they sponsored my podcast. That was a great jam. Thanks, Fat Philosopher. It just felt like doing something music related was the way to go. Like, I don't know, just gear related all the time gets a bit old, but music, just having a playthrough like that was awesome. Getting guys like Rafael Nasta on there is just an absolute, he's one of my favorite players anywhere. Like, he's such a great player. I mean, everybody on that video was. That's why I wanted to put that together. It was like it was a treat for me to have high caliber players that are all different on one video. Like Hans as well, man. I met him a few years back. Just an absolute great guitar player. I filmed him and Kafir doing a video together, this flamenco piece. And I was like, man, these guys are unbelievable. Like, just so good. So yeah, it was unreal. There's one guy that was supposed to be in there that pulled out, but yeah, without, even with that, it was still epic. Like I love that video. It's my favorite video I think I might have been involved in. Robert says when he first heard it, I was like, dang, that's a long 24 bars. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It was. It's the extended blues maybe or something. We've got Randy from South Illinois. It's about 9:50 p.m. here. Happy to hear from you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a live stream. It's probably been 2 or 3 weeks, maybe something like that. I kind of had some problems streaming in my other room for a while, and then I just gave it a rest because it would have kept pushing notifications out, and then I think it sort of killed my notifications for whatever reason as well. A lot of people saying they don't see notifications anymore. So, yeah, I don't know what happened there. But I think because it went live and failed so many times, it just sort of stopped pushing that out to people. So I thought I'd give it a break and try it again. Yeah, a lot of people were saying, oh, how come you didn't get this guy? How come you didn't get that guy? It's like, well, I may have actually reached out to some of them, or some of them weren't available, or some of them weren't that style of player. I really went for players over sort of the talkers. I wanted the guys that I could just listen to. And that they were the guys. I mean, there's no one better, in my opinion, on YouTube than Jamie as a bass player. Like, he's so good. Guy's the best funk player I've ever heard. So, having him on there as well was just like, he made it interesting for everybody. I said to him, don't play it 100. Oh, I didn't say that you had to do it any certain way, but I said, you got complete freedom. Play it however you like, and do the chord changes here and here and the key changes. And he did it. And it was great, man. We all had something different to play over. It's just, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. It's all about the music. I've been forcing myself to write small pieces of music for each video intro. It's a good habit to get into. I probably only do like 6 new ones a month. I find it hard sometimes to find the right drum track and then to sort of work around it. I've got a subscription to an actual drummer that I use for the videos, and I don't program them. I don't know how to do that really yet. So I'm not saying you do either, but for me, I'm like forced to use certain styles of drumming, and yeah, it's definitely a good thing to sort of get into, like writing your own, even if it's a minute or two, it really makes a difference. So yeah, and certain sounds really inspire certain backing tracks as well. So recently I had Richo over here, who was the drummer on that big jam, and we did lots of little drum feels in kind of styles that I like funk and all that. So there'll be some really cool ones coming up, but yeah, it's definitely a good thing. Hey, John, welcome, mate. He says, do you have everyone's section mapped out from the start, or did you have it assembled like a jigsaw? No, I couldn't do that because we go from C all the way tonally back to C. Tonally? Is that the word I'm looking for? Robert, help me. So he went like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to C. So I had to make sure everybody had their time sorted and where the changes were. So I had to map that whole thing out on a piece of, on a notepad basically. And then I had to get the drums to work. So we recorded the drums in sections so I could add bits and take bits away, and it kind of worked. So the main thing was I needed to not waste Jamie's time because he was doing all the work on the bass. He did all of that live, and it was great. He did a live stream video about recording that as well. So yeah, you can check that out on his channel. It was pretty amazing to watch. He did 2 takes, and the first one's the one I kept. He played it that well. So yeah. Let me just scroll back up. Jamal says, that was a great cast of YouTube guitar channels playing on that video. Thanks, man. Yeah, there's some guys that, like, Raphael's obviously not a YouTuber first and foremost. He's a pro. Like, he's a touring professional, plays with Chris Kane, Kirk Fletcher, all these kind of guys, Josh Smith. So he's a touring guy, but he's got a YouTube channel, and it was just, I was all smiles when I saw his part because I was like, man, how nice of him was it to do that? And guys like Michael, it looks like Wagner, but it's Wagner. Especially him, his channel is so small. I don't understand why. Like, he's great. He's such a great player. He's one of the tastiest most precision sort of players I've ever heard. He's just unbelievable. I mean, they're all good. Every time someone sent a track in, I smiled. I was like, this is why I asked this guy to do it, because it was great. I actually asked someone on Instagram too. She's a blues player I've been following for ages, but yeah, unfortunately it didn't sort of work out time-wise with her, but it would have been cool to have her on there as well. But yeah, I was just looking for players that I admire, you know, and nice guys. So yeah, it worked out really well. There's a lot of guys I could have invited, but I knew sort of in the back of my mind they probably weren't the best choice. Even though some of the guys on the video were very different, that's what I wanted. I didn't just want cliche blues players like myself on the whole thing. So yeah, it was cool. It was super cool. Yeah, everyone made a pretty good effort. I was really happy with it. Hey, Hutch, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Some people forgot how to count to 24. Yeah, it was a strange thing. Like, there was a few sections that didn't quite, like they missed the start or the end. But it doesn't matter, man. It is what it is, you know. Yeah, Kafir and Andy, man, they're both great players as well. I mean, Robert at the end, it's just the perfect outro. Like, it was almost the video. I remember when I finished the video, it took me 6 hours to edit because I had to learn how to split screen properly. And I wanted Jamie in there a lot because he did the most of the work, right? So I really felt like he needed to sort of pop up a lot just to keep it interesting for the eyes as well. And yeah, just to show people that it was real people, you know, and not like we didn't cheat. It was legit. And yeah, Kafir and Andy, everybody was great, man. I love Sano's part, just so bizarre, you know, like he's looking at the camera and he's playing dead clean. It was just great. Everyone had their own style, and that's what I was hoping for. It was really cool. I thought that was you on bass and thought, dang, Shane's got some mad bass chops. So the way we actually recorded it, we did the drums to a click track, and I was playing bass, right? But I just played it in one key the whole way through because I didn't want to butcher I didn't want to make a decision on where the changes should go until later. And my bass playing isn't anything to email home about compared to Jamie's. It's we got a super chat. Sorry, let me just scroll back up. Sorry if I missed this. Let me just go into my. I apologize for that. Just give me 1 sec. Where'd it go? Let me just bring this up. I don't want to miss this. Come on, computer. I'm just going to go into the live dashboard here. It's taking forever. My internet sucks, man. It's part of the problem. Jeff, here we go. When you got the videos, though, who surprised you the most? Not who you thought was the best, but who played better than you thought? Probably Hans. Not because I'm not going to say like he's one of the best players online, right? And thank you for the super chat, Jeff. But he killed it. He had his bends were kind of bluesy, and then he just made it look really easy. And I loved his vibe on camera too. He was having a great time. Like, to me, that was pretty awesome. Like, I wondered what I'd get back from him, because I've watched him before and I've met him and he's a lovely guy, and I didn't know how he'd go about putting a solo together. And it really surprised me because of the way what he did was so out of the box. I was like, this is great. This is exactly why I asked him to do it. But everybody, it was just all good. Like, there were sections of every single part that just made me smile. I was like, even when Andy comes in with that little sort of slinky thing in it, it's like, oh man, yeah, that's a unique approach. Everyone had a unique approach, but I got to tell you, Jamie on bass, he killed it, man. He did the most work out of everybody. And I love all the guitar solos, but he played that live all the way through, and it was great. So yeah, I can't really pick one, but and I want to thank Tibor as well. You know, like I emailed him originally. It was right after I didn't hear back from somebody who I emailed before him, and I told him this as well. And the other guy confirmed, and it was like 2 days or 3 days before the video was going out, and he said he couldn't do it for other reasons. And I said, that's fine. So I emailed Tibor, and he came back with something, and I was like, oh, man. So he saved the day. So it was pretty cool. Hey, Paul, thanks for hanging out, mate. I appreciate that. And thanks again, Jeff. I appreciate it. Currently working with 2 different drummers in a studio and still can't seem to find the right sound. Yeah, you just got to work with the right people, man. It's a weird thing playing with people in a studio or, doing gigs. You got to find someone who's sort of compatible with your style that also plays with confidence, and someone who's also flexible. There's almost nothing worse than doing a gig with a drummer who can't compromise. And then you'll have to compromise with anyone you play with as well. But the level of compromises changes depending on each person's sort of individuality as well, and their competency level. A lot of people are stuck in their ways, when it comes to playing live. And yeah, some drummers are like that. A lot of guitar players are like that too. Jamal says, I do remember you seeing play a Harley Benton bass on a video. Any chance of a review? Bass is great. Yeah, I'll probably do something with it. It pops up on a few videos here and there coming up as well, but yeah, I haven't done like a full review of that bass yet. I've got to try and find something that's kind of interesting to do with it. I've got one idea I kind of want to approach with it, but yeah, it'll come up. Something will come up soon. D Payne says, hello, sir. I have a question. Currently, I have a Line 6 Spider amp. I want to change it. Should I buy an audio interface and buy a amp sim or a real amp like a Boss Katana? It's a tough question. It just depends on your situation. If you can make noise with an amp, it generally feels a bit better to do that. But if you don't want to be loud, or you don't want to damage your ears or all that kind of stuff, there is a power attenuator on the Boss Katana, but software is a good way of getting around that. I recently put together a video like I can't remember what it was called. It's like 6 recording methods explained. You can get into recording guitar for $30. So maybe before you sell that, have a look at that video. It just went up, so you'll see it maybe 2 videos ago. And that'll give you some other options. Software isn't for everybody. It's for some people, but it's not for everybody. And that's not a tone thing. It's just a usability thing. Like if you understand how to hook it all up, you're going to love it. If you don't, you might hate it. So yeah, it's a tough question. I don't know your level of not only your computer skills, but how much recording you've done. So my suggestion would be to get a microphone or get an amp sim pedal or something like that, just to get into it. And that'll sound better too. You'll be able to just hook it into your sound card and get a really great sound. Fishy Paw says, I missed the jam video. I'll give it a watch tomorrow. Yeah, check it out, man. I reckon it's the best video of the year for me. I just having all those guys and friends all on one video, it was great. The funny thing was we had Rick was over here and we recorded his part, but something went wrong with the camera and it didn't record. Like it recorded for like the first 10 seconds and then it cut out. And I was like, what happened? So we had to do it again, but we ended up using the Strymon. There's this new like cab sim pedal thing that you can plug into, and it's really, really good. Surprisingly good. That'd be another great recording solution as well. What is it called? The Strymon? Oh, someone can tell me. Yeah, it's like a little box. It's got different amp settings and all that kind of stuff. What was your gear in the recent video with the Flying V? So I had my Fender Blues Deluxe, the Royal Flush dual overdrive on the higher gain side, the Carrera Buffalo Effects overdrive going into it, and I had what was my delay pedal? I think it was the Jux delay. I could be wrong, but yeah, it was just whatever delay I had on my board. So I think that's what's on there at the moment. Yeah, but the main overdrive tone was the Carrera Overdrive and the Iridium. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, the Carrera Overdrive and the Royal Flush. They're my two favorites to stack. Yeah, the Iridium's great. I was pretty shocked. Like, we actually did a quick, like, off-camera comparison between that and the Two Notes. They were very similar. There's a difference in the sound, but, you know, in the mix, it sounds great. And that's what it comes down to in the end. So for those who have just joined too, there's a Fender GTX turning up, the 50, at some point in the next week or so. I've got a premiere I'm going to launch tomorrow, which will be like a first impressions video on something else that I think you'll enjoy. Yeah, so that video will come up pretty soon. Yeah, I'm really sort of shocked that the Jam didn't get as many views as what I was anticipating it would. I didn't do it for the views. I did it more because of how fun it was. But the thumbnail was great. The playing was awesome. It almost seems like the guitar community are more into gear than they are guitar playing, which was surprising. So, I mean, it got 99% positive feedback. So it did all the right things. It was just a real shock that, you know, I could release a video talking about Telecasters and that gets more views than seeing, you know, with the exception of myself, 13 other great musicians. So yeah, it was just strange. I don't really understand how that works. I mentioned the Jam took a lot of editing to put together. It was a big process. It was also like I'm working with like 5 different frame rates, and I didn't specify to anyone, hey, you need to shoot in this frame rate, because if you live in North America, the frame rates there are different to if you live in England or if you live in Australia or New Zealand or whatever. So I got some phone footage, which is 30 frames per second. I got some video camera footage, which is 29.797, sorry. I got 25 frames per second footage. I got 24. No, I got, what was the other one? There was one other one. It had a weird frame rate. But anyway, so it was all these different formats coming in. And I was like, I hope this syncs, man. This is the first time I've mixed all these different frame rates, and it worked. I was pretty shocked. Hey, Terry, welcome, man. Oh, we got a super chat here from, is it BT Bathalco? I'm looking at a Hagstrom Super Viking as an alternative to an Epiphone semi-hollow, and I found your review. Can you elaborate on what you liked about it? Love the Jam. Hello from Canada. So welcome and thanks for the super chat. Yeah, it was very cool. It was a great guitar. I think what I forgot to demo on that was it actually has push-pull pots. I didn't know that. I get these instruments from the shop on loan, so I just turn up, put them in a gig bag and come home with them. I don't get any info. And I always get on the website and look, and I go through the specs, but for some reason I don't remember it saying that it had a push-pull, and one of them did. I think one of them doesn't as well, but from memory, I love the bridge pickup. I like the way it felt. I think one of the small criticisms I felt about one of the Hagstroms that I reviewed, and I can't remember if it was that one or not, and I think I mentioned it in the video, I felt like the neck pickup was a little dark sounding. But in terms of playability and feel and all that kind of stuff, they're easily as good as Epiphones. They're a different sort of guitar in the hand too. They're a bit lighter than, say, an ES or a DOT 335, which are really cool. So, yeah, Hagstrom Super Vikings. Let me just double check that. Let's have a look here. My internet sucks. Sorry, I'll have to just give it a sec. It's a bit special. So at the end of this month, fingers crossed, early next month, my internet finally gets upgraded. So yeah, I'll be able to actually stream with some semblance of quality again. Hagstrom. Let me have a quick look. See if it's going to work. So I did 2 videos. Did one in 2017 and one in 2018. So I've done the Viking and the Super Viking. So the Super Viking, I think, is the one with the split coil functionality, and the other one isn't. I think they're good guitars, but I always suggest, man, go play it, see if you like it. don't just buy it and hope for the best. It's pretty tough to do that unless you really, because yeah, I know what I'm like. I would find something. I need to make sure I'm, 4 out of the 5 things I love about it are there. Otherwise, it'd be a tough purchase for me personally. But yeah, thanks again for the super chat, man. I hope that helps. Yeah, so I do have 2 videos, but the Super Viking one I think is the sort of the more premium out of them as well. I did a review, I'm pretty sure too. I'm not sure if I edited that or took it down, but there might be a written review of that guitar at guitarpedaldemos.com. I recently changed a lot about that site. I can't remember if I pulled down that review or not, but anyway. Let me just scroll up. Man, I never thought about frame rates. Yeah, I said to Rick, everyone got their parts in. I'm like, I hope to God this works, because I've worked with, when I was at Jerry's the second time, I used 2 of his cameras, which were shooting at almost 30 frames per second. The Australian ones shoot at 25. The reason for that is our flicker rate on our lights are different due to the electricity. So mixing those 2 cameras together, trying to sync them was impossible. It just didn't work. So it just worked along I had to sort of convert all the videos. It gets a bit nerdy, but yeah, I had to upscale them and then pull them all back to 25 frames per second. It was easier to drop frames out of them than try to add frames in. So it kind of worked. It was pretty shocking. Hey, thanks for that, Jamal. He says, I shared that video on a couple of groups on Facebook as well as my own page. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely how that kind of stuff helps get pushed to, people share stuff. I very rarely ask anyone to share my videos, but if you're going to ever share one, share that one, and it will help everybody involved. That would be awesome. Thanks, man. I was playing guitar at the park today, and a female cop came up to me and said, you could be practicing fingering at home. I burst out laughing. No, that's hilarious. What's the main difference between Epiphone Standards, Studios, and the Standard 60s? Are we talking Les Pauls? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know if I've tried Epiphone Studios. Oh, you're talking about Gibsons, I would assume. So it's just the biggest difference between the Epiphones and the Gibsons, it comes down to the tone of the pickups. The pickups and the hardware in the Gibsons are better. There's not a lot of difference between standards and then the new, or the studios, I should say, and the standard ones that they've released this year. In terms of the hardware, it's going to be basically the same, but you're going to be getting more sort of premium finish on the neck and binding and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the studios, won't have that. Not all of them, but a lot of them won't. Back in the day, the studios were kind of like a bare bones guitar. It was a cheaper way they were getting made. They left off all the appointments, but they still played well and they still sounded great. They just didn't visibly look as nice on most of the time, or they didn't have things like binding or just this, small cosmetic things. But yeah, Epiphones are great guitars, but if you compare the same Epiphone to the same Gibson, there's always going to be a difference in the sound. They're made like that on purpose. So yeah, and the headstock. I like Epiphones. I think they're great, but there is a difference. Super Viking has the Fender scale, and yes, it's the written review that I found. Ah, okay, cool. No worries. Yeah, there are 2 videos on the channel too. So if you check the just type in the blues Super Viking, it should come up. Interesting to see Michael Palmisano was on it. Nice job editing. Not too easy for sure. Australia 25, 50 frames per second. USA 30, 60. Yeah, so the strange thing, right? Most people assume the USA is 30 and 60. It's actually not, right? It's 29.97 and 59.79 or something like that. So it's actually, it's actually slightly less. But then you get cameras that shoot true 30 frames per second, like phones. Most phones aren't doing the same thing a camera does. So I had some phone footage as well. So there was not only the 30 frames per second, but there was that one that's slightly less. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. I I'll tell you what, I'm just going to grab a quick drink. I'll just be 1 sec. Just hang in there. Fridge is right there. All right. Here we go. Yeah, it's trying to... I had to just downscale it to the smallest denominator, which was 25. I was waiting to see 24 frames pop up on one of the videos, but thankfully that didn't happen, so it was good. The great thing about now, as opposed to, say, 15 years ago, most televisions most people watch YouTube on a device, so it doesn't matter, but there was a time where you couldn't get NTSC format anything to work on PAL and vice versa because the TVs just didn't support it. But now TVs and computer monitors support every frame, every different type of format. So it's become universal, thankfully, but there needs to be that distinction based on the light flicker rate. If I took my Australian camera to the States, which I've done, and I shoot under, say, a halogen bulb or something with, you don't see the flicker, but even these studio lights, it'll blink. It's horrible. So that's why there's that difference. I prefer the Epiphone Pro Bucket to the equivalent Gibson. Well, it's all personal choice too, right? Like, I haven't heard a pickup I like more than the Gibson Burst Buckets. I think they're fantastic. So it's all personal taste too. I'm just saying, if you compare apples to apples, a lot of the time you grab an Epiphone 335 and you put it up against a Gibson 335 or Les Pauls, there's usually a difference in the output of the Gibson pickups. That's all I was getting at. They might not sound better to everybody's ear. There's just an audible output difference. Why do people only know 2 chords of 3 notes and don't study the other 50? I don't know. It seems like a pretty big generalization. I would go watch Robert Baker and see if that applies to him, or Rafael Nasta, or Michael Wagner, or any number of millions of guitar players out there that are monsters. It's muscle memory too. Like, not every chord shape works well for everybody. So you play the ones that work for you and the ones you can quickly access. It's one thing to be fancy, but if it doesn't feel good or it doesn't flow, what's the point, I took the cover off my Epiphone Les Paul pickup the other day to make it look and sound a bit more like Jimmy Page's. All I have to do now is learn how to play. Play like him now. There you go. It's all in the hands. There might be an export restriction on those brands out of the EU. For example, you can't have a Fender shipped from the USA dealer to Canada. They've had that here for ages. It's hard for me to get a guitar from the US, a Fender brand one or Gibson, to Australia. They kind of locked that down. Other brands, it's no problems, but yeah, it's always been like that here. Surfy Sonic says, "Ahoy, Shane. I hope all is doing well. Everyone's doing well. Thanks, mate. I hope you're doing good." Let me just scroll back up here. Apparently, Epiphone was to launch the Prodigy series instrument, an Explorer, a custom shop like Flying V featuring the new Fishman pickups. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that sort of, the new release stuff has been delayed, because if you can't go to shops, it's going to suck, for people trying to play them or to test them. A lot of people have to buy them blind. It's not usually the way to go to buy a guitar. You're taking a risk, I guess. So yeah, most people should. I'm sure everyone's dying to go to a guitar shop by now and just have a look around. I know I am. It's been ages. It's the longest I've gone, I think, ever since I started playing, where I haven't been to a guitar shop. It's been a good couple of months, it feels like now. So yeah. All right. So what's the first thing everyone's going to do when they're allowed out? That'll be a good question for everybody here. Even the Epiphone burst buckers are great. Oh, I'm sure they are. I haven't played every type of pickup, but I've done a lot of comparisons over the years. There's some Epiphones that sound better than Gibsons, especially in the split coil modes. I feel like the Gibsons I've tried that do the coil tapping haven't always been good. Especially there was a Les Paul that was a blue burst one I tried a while back. The split coil, I mean, I wouldn't buy a Les Paul for the split coil tones anyway. I think it sounded better in humbucker mode, but didn't sound better split. So, yeah, it just depends. It really does. Better off buying one at Southpaw. Southpaw is cool. Yeah, I was supposed to go there coming up. You know, my trip was scheduled for Sunday, so I would have been going over to the States this weekend for 6 weeks. Not anymore. That was supposed to be my content for the second half of the year. I had so much great stuff planned, like completely different videos, and some of the regular stuff too. But it was going to be the trip that pretty much gave everyone something different to watch for the last half of the year. Yeah, so I'm sort of spewing it didn't happen, but you know, next year I guess will be whenever that happens. Now we'll see if it works itself out. All right, let me just scroll up. Joseph says, cheers from Texas. Beginning my guitar journey at 40. Should I keep my Roland JC120 and just start with a pedal madness, or sell it and get a tube amp? You know, the JC120s are pretty great. They're loud amps, but that's what Albert King played, man. So if you plug something like a Tube Screamer or Maxon OD808 or any number of pedals into that, it's going to sound fantastic. Last time I was playing in San Francisco, I used the JC, is it the 40, the small 2x10 one? Things sounded unreal with pedals. So, yeah, I would just say a lot of there's nothing wrong with a good solid state amp. There really isn't. You can get a great sound out of it, especially that one. They're pretty sought after amps. The Epiphone Casino is the standard. It's like nothing else. Yeah, that's kind of one I've always wanted. You know, the Epiphone Casino, I always wanted to try a lefty. There's a few things about them that I'm a bit cautious about. I know the fact that they're a lot more hollow than, say, a 335 would lead itself to more feedback. But sometimes that works really well for the kind of sound that you're getting out of them. Yeah, I've always kind of wanted to get my hands on one of them, but I want to play one first because I do have a chance to get one. I know Southpaw Guitars, he actually sent me an email saying, hey, I got one of these in if you want one. And the plan was to go try one while I was there, but yeah, it obviously maybe next time. Maybe I should just take a risk on it. If I ever get him any money back from this trip, which I haven't yet, we'll see whether or not I'll throw it into an Epiphone Casino. Hey, Metalhead, welcome, man. Are the slick guitars available in Australia? You know, I don't know. I don't know if I know that brand. Maybe, let me have a quick look. Definitely heard the name. Don't know if I've seen them before. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't look like it. Looks like what is it? A GFS brand. Okay. I don't know. I'll have to look them up. You know, we're finally starting to see frameless guitars in shops here. That was something that just popped up in a couple of shops recently, before everything happened. Yeah, it was like, oh, something different. You know, we always seem to have a lot of the same brands in a lot of the shops. You get different models and all that kind of thing. But, yeah, it's starting to get a little bit more global now and a little bit out of the traditional brands, which is cool. Hetfield from Metallica used the Roland JC120 for his clean tones. Oh, there you go. Oh, they're, like I said, man, they're great amps. I would totally, yeah, nothing wrong with his tone either. Local guitar shops are open but can't try guitars. I've got 3 times. I've been there 3 times. It's essential business according to ScoMo and had to wear gloves to try slides. Wow. Just got an AC15 C1 or CX1. Any tone tips? Yeah, just make sure you don't have the presence or the byte control up too far. Turn the bass up, turn the treble back to about 10 o'clock, turn it up loud. It's going to sound great. They're great amps, you know. There's a little while back I was like, oh, man, I used to only play Vox amps for a while. They're 15 and a 30. I was like, oh, should I get another one? No, I just decided against it. I didn't need another amp. But, yeah, they're cool. If I was to get another Vox, I'd probably buy the AC30 S1 with a single 12, and then I'd replace that speaker with some sort of eminence. That's why I bought the Les Paul 60s. Not fond of the coil split. Yeah, the coil splits. I don't even know why they bother, man. It's a Les Paul. You don't need it. I get it. They're trying to make it like, you know, it's just adding more features to it, but, you know, it's something most people won't use. At least that's my impressions of it. You want to play a single coil guitar, get a Strat or a Tele or whatever. Wonder if the business will shut down again in a month or so. Houston is not New York City, but it's a big city. Yeah, I think a lot of people are struggling for work at the moment. It's crazy. The line of Guitar Center was huge yesterday. Returned a Blackstar 40 MK2 with a bad clean channel. Replaced it with a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. That's a great decision. I can't stand those amps, man, those Blackstar 40s. I think you've got a much better amp in the Hot Rod Deluxe in every facet. If you play live at all, it's gonna eat the Blackstar live. So yeah, not to belittle Blackstar amps, but I've never heard one in the mix that I like. I've only heard a couple, but yeah, the Hot Rod Deluxe 4 it's a fantastic amp. You don't even need pedals with that if you can turn it up. It's really cool. Hey, Metalhead, thanks, man. Stay safe, bro, everybody. Thanks for that, mate. I appreciate that. I've been tuning into your late night live streams here. Sometimes I'm like half asleep and you're going live. It's like sometimes the time difference doesn't always work. But yeah, thanks again, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Earl Slick brand from GFS originally, but there's some other distributors. I'm gonna bring this chat up a bit bigger. I'm like, I can't read it properly. Bloody screen's too far away. Let me bring this up. I was filming another video in here yesterday. I did an interview with another guy, which will be up on his channel. I'll share that when it goes up. And I'd already been filming in here, so I thought, I'll just do the live stream from here today. But I miss not having some guitars around. I'm gonna have to think about that a bit better next time. Joseph says, man, I absolutely... Oh, sorry, it just disappeared. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. I spent $120 on repairs and tune-up. The cost of purchase, if I sell it, I can get 4 times what I got on it. It's a heavy bastard. There you go. Cool. Yeah, $120 on repairs. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, man, but hang on, let me just go back up here. Oh, it's hard to find the context of that. Sorry, man. Oh, he says, I got it. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But anyway, thank you. Hey, Roy, thanks, mate. Appreciate your demos. They were very helpful. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Been at it a while now. It's been many videos have gone up over the last few years. And yeah, I'm finding a good balance between like what I'm enjoying doing and still putting out regular content as well. I just can't wait to do more of the Guitar Search Saturday videos coming up and this new series that I had planned, which I was going to start on, well, it would have been next week had my trip would have worked. But yeah, I'm looking forward to still bringing you that idea at some point because I really feel like it'll be something very different. But no, I appreciate that, Roy. Thank you. How would you go about buying an amp and head separately? What do you look for? So it comes down to, like, sometimes it's always good to pair the head and the cab a lot of the time, depending on what it is. And other times, the last thing you want to do is buy a bad cab. So I would find the features in an amp head that you like and pair it with something that's great in terms of cabinets. So For me, I would buy a cab that's either a single 12 or a 212 that's light but still relatively large, that has side handles. Or if it's a single 12, it doesn't necessarily need to have side handles. But that's something I always look for. I want an open back or an option for an open back because I like that sound better rather than the laser beam of death kind of sound where it just shoots straight out of the front of the amp and doesn't really fill the room. That's a different kind of loud. The great example of this is Egnator, right? I bought one of those Egnator heads and I loved it, but I bought one of their cabs and their single 12 cabinets are some of the worst I've ever seen. I didn't know this until after the fact. And then I heard another guy play that exact same Egnator head through a 2x12 Fender box, and it was the best thing ever. So you kind of got to work out what you need in terms of what you like the sound of in terms of speakers, but also what complements the amp head as well. If you're buying a Marshall, just get a Marshall cabinet. If you're buying a Fender, go for a Fender cab. I'd say the same for Two Rock or any number of different brands out there, Vox to some extent. With some brands, their cabinets are their weak point, and Egnator is one of those brands. I'm sure there's others that some Vox cabinets aren't great either. They're a bit too small. So even their single 12s, if you're looking for small, that might be a good thing. But the cabinet size drastically affects the overall sound. Like you wouldn't believe it. Like you can take a Blues Junior and an AC15, because the AC15's a bigger cab, it sounds better. It just sounds bigger in the room. So the speaker box makes a big difference to the tone. So find a great cabinet and then you compare it with almost any head that you like and you should be fine. Krenner says it's 5 a.m. here in Austria. Yeah, it's early, so take it easy, man. Am I still happy with the Behringer and Shure mic tributes? Absolutely, that's from Andy. So on my on that live jam, I've been using that SM57 from Behringer on every video after that. That's how much I've liked it. I haven't been using the E906 as much from them. What was the model number of that one? I can't remember, but I haven't been using their E906 as much because the clip isn't very good. And that's the sort of weak point of that mic. But if I put it on the Sennheiser clip, it works great. But I got a Sennheiser, so I actually prefer the sound of the Behringer, surprisingly, over the Shure. I don't know if it'll last as long, but it's built well. It's got low handling noise. It's got a bit more bite about it. I really like it, and it pairs really great with the Sennheiser. So, I mean, both great microphones. So, especially for the price, I think I paid like $30 for each of them or something like that. It was great. Oh no, one was like $49. One was about $39 or something. They're well worth it, man. Absolutely. And you can hear how great it sounds on that last video I put together of the recording methods as well. That was the Behringer microphone. It definitely does the job. Would I like to buy you a Gibson SG 2018 standard? You played it at Paddy's. Okay. No, I've got a Les Paul, mate, but I appreciate that. Yeah. No, I'm not really. Gibson. No, SGs aren't for me, man. Oh, sorry. I thought it said, for some reason I took that as Les Paul because we were talking about Les Pauls before. So, yeah, no, I'm not an SG guy, mate, but thank you. You'll have no problem selling that. Just chuck it on Gumtree. It'll go. Your lockdown shuffle is cool. Living in the South and being a Southern rock fan, such as Marshall Trucker. Yeah, cool. Allman Brothers, etc. This sounds like stuff we would like to hear on a Saturday night. Man, it'd be great to be able to take that and do more. Take everybody in that video and do more stuff like that. It was so much fun. Thank you. Hey, Todd, thanks, man. Far out. Hey, Shane, got a question regarding guitar picks. What type of thickness do you prefer? I usually get 2 millimeters, but recently discovered the Dunlop flow picks at 2.5 and 3. Also open to the floor. What's everyone's preference? I used to play 1 millimeter Jim Dunlops, the nylon ones with the black grippy bits on them. And then I found chicken picks, which are 2.6 millimeters. And I thought for sure 2.6 millimeters would be ridiculously heavy. I can't play with anything else now. The edges of the chicken picks aren't as fat, but it's just easy. Like it takes the pressure off having to sort of hold it really hard, which was something I was used to with the Dunlops, and it would always end up bending. So for me, the chicken picks are still the best. And there was another brand I tried called Dragon's Hearts, which were pretty cool, but I didn't like the shape as much. So just a regular sort of pick shape, which I like a lot. So yeah, they're still my favorite, hands down. I've still got the first ones I ever got from them as well. That's how long they last, and it forces you not to want to lose them because they're expensive. I don't know. Every video you've seen me in that I'm using a pick, it's a white pick. That's the chicken pick. And thanks again, Todd. Far out, man. And Joseph, thank you as well. Really dig the channel and vids. Give me a shout out if you make it to Dallas. Thanks, man. I'll take you to Guitar Sanctuary. The heavy bastard comment was in regards to the JC120. Oh, okay. Yeah, it is heavy. Sorry. You're right. They are big amps. Look, if weights are concerned, move it on and get something smaller. Get a Hot Rod Deluxe. They're still not the lightest amp out there, but it'll be a great pedal platform as well. But still being way smaller, but plenty loud. So yeah, they are. That's the one bad thing about the Roland Jazz Chorus. The size is huge. Keep up the good work on your brand. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, Todd. Yeah. So the trip I had booked, I was going from. I was starting in sort of like in the middle of Florida, basically. I was driving down to Sarasota and Miami. Then I was going to go up to Tallahassee, basically, and drive all the way across to Houston, Austin, and what was it? I can't remember the other city I was planning on going. They're all kind of like within 2 hours. At least that's what it looked like. And then I was going from there to Nashville. That was the plan. I was going to fly there. I wasn't going to drive back to over to Nashville. It's too far. But yeah, it was going to be great. Well, at least that was the plan. But I'm kind of happy I'm not stuck over there trying to get home and having to stress about all of that stuff. That wouldn't be fun either. But yeah, I'll let everyone know when the trip's coming up, mate. And if I'm in your part of the world, maybe we'll go check out the guitar shop. That'd be cool. Jamal says he prefers medium picks. When he uses one, I use my thumb and fingers. Yeah, well, there you go. If you can play with just without a pick, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how I started too, man. I never used to play with a pick for years. And then all my friends were playing with picks, and I felt like I was missing out. So I started playing with a pick. And I don't know if I probably should have done that or not. I guess, it is a different sound, gives you different ideas. And yeah, I used to just love playing with my fingers. Getting that snappy sort of sound. V-Pick Screamers. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if I know those. I love the bigger chicken picks that just arrived wider, really easy to hold onto for someone with arm injuries. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know they made new ones. I knew they had some that were more like pointy on the edges. I didn't like those as much. I tried them, but I like the traditional ones, whatever they were called, the 2.6 and even the 3 millimeters were pretty good. They were a bit smaller, but I love those. Yeah, they're good picks. I'll have to have a look for those. Hey, Hutch, thanks, man. Far out. Thanks, mate. Hutch has been around since the dawn of the YouTube channel. Back when I used to post just band videos back in the day. So welcome. Thanks, man. Thank you. Far out. You guys are way too generous. Thank you. Let me just scroll down. San Francisco. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of plans to go to San Fran. I've been to San Fran like 10 times, and this trip wasn't going to, planned on not going there this time, but because it was cancelled, maybe next time I'll do everywhere. So I got good friends in San Francisco I've had for a long time, and yeah, I saw them not long ago. Well, it's been a couple of years now, but considering some of the places I haven't been for a lot longer than that. So, yeah, I kind of can't go everywhere. I don't enjoy having to fly everywhere when you're trying to relax as well, to some extent. Just airport stress sucks. So, yeah, I said to my friend Ed there that I'll go see him if I make it over at some point now. I'd actually love to record an album in San Fran with a couple of the guys from there. They're great players. There's a drummer called Jeremy Honig who I know. He's played with, like, I think Chicago, the band. Like he's filled in with them and he's toured with lots of pros, man. He's such a great player. He's got the best shuffle I've ever played with anybody else. It's just he's got this shuffle that just it's the best. I'd love to do a blues album with him and a couple of other local people there. I might be something worth doing. Landon says, I've been converted to chicken picks too for the last couple of years. Yeah, they just feel so good. They really do. JS3008 says, love your channel. You're doing a great job. It's always interesting to listen to your reviews. Greetings from Austria. Welcome, mate. We had someone else in here from Austria before, so I'm tipping it's what? It'd be 5:42 a.m. there. Is that how that works? Someone mentioned how late it was or early it was before. Now, thanks for the support, mate. I appreciate it. So we finally have some stuff coming in again. So you're going to see a few more reviews coming up. I've been working with what I had. I'm not connected with like suppliers or wholesalers or anything like that. A lot of what you've seen on the channel last, I guess, two or 3 years has been stuff I've borrowed. I've driven to pick up and then I've driven it back. So yeah, from Sky Music, they're nice enough to lend me stuff, or it's stuff I've purchased, or it's stuff I borrowed from friends or whatever. So we've finally got a few new things coming in, a few more reviews coming up. And it seems like some people are, or at least some of the guitar companies are starting to come back a little bit to some extent, or at least that's what it feels like. It feels like more emails coming in all of a sudden. So yeah, we'll see some more stuff coming up. But I've been just working with what I had. A lot of the stuff you've seen in reviews were things that I didn't review at the time, and I forgot about it. I moved house and I put in the spare room, like that little Joyo amp. That thing was awesome. I had no idea. I forgot I even had it. I saw it. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is actually any good. It was awesome. So, yeah, we've got more, some different stuff coming up too. So hopefully it's fun. What about wooden picks? Yeah, I am not interested in wooden picks at all. Wood versus steel isn't a good mix. They're just going to wear out. I'd never buy a wooden pick. I think that's ridiculous. You just look at the windings on the E and the A and the D string, and depending on what you do with a pick like that, it's just going to wear out. I don't know. I've never really been into wooden picks. They look like they get really dirty and nasty looking as well from what I've seen of them. So, yeah, I don't know. We got Doug from England. Welcome, man. Pedro says, cheers, man. Love your channel since 2016. What's your favorite? Kalen pedal. Kudos from Brazil. I'd probably say my favorite one would be, I've got a couple. I really love the Ghost delay. I think it was the Ghost delay pedal or something like that. It was this white one. Great sounding delay. It was really, really good. I also love their take on the Klon. It's funny because I can't always remember the names of the pedals, but I know what color they are. There was like a brown Klon style pedal that was really, really good. I like the Pure Sky one as well. One particular one that I like more than all of them. But yeah, that Ghost delay pedal was really great. And their take on the Klon was great. They got a lot of good pedals. Like there's none that really go... Actually, I shouldn't say that. There's a few that I would never use personally, and that's their fuzz pedals. I don't really like fuzz. But from basically almost any brand, I'm not a big fuzz guy. But in terms of their dirt pedals and delay pedals, they're some of the best. You know, they've got one called an Ocean Delay, which is unreal. It's so good considering how inexpensive it is. So it's pretty cool. Hey, Gary, thank you, man. Here's some money to put towards a new pick. Hey, thanks for that, mate. I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to do that. I'll try some of those new chicken picks. I might put that into trying some of these new wider ones someone was talking about before because, yeah, I love the chicken picks. I've still got the same ones I've had since day one with those. They're still going strong all these years later. They're the only picks I haven't lost in the history of me owning a pick. Bermuda. Oh, so the Bermudas are the X. Sorry, I just saw your other message. So, yeah, the Bermudas are the pointy ones, right? Yeah, I'm not a big fan. See, I never use the point on a pick. I always use the. Have I got any picks in my pocket? No, I never use the point part. I always use the round edge near where what would be considered where your thumb goes. So I use that side of it. I seem to get a bit better sort of is purchase the right word? Like a better connection on the string than using the point. It feels a bit more like my thumb would feel. So yeah, I use the big round side of any pick. I never use the point. So for me, a pointy pick is a bit odd, but I'll see what I can find in terms of whatever else they've got. I haven't been on their website for so long. It's probably been 2 years. So you make a good product and it lasts, you never rebuy it. And that's what the chicken picks are a bit like for me. I love them. So Gary, thanks again, mate. I appreciate that. Would kill to learn how to play without a pick, a la Mark Knopfler and Albert King. You've just got to try to find a way that makes it work for you. These guys didn't. Their style is pretty unique, and it's not by the book, right? So, I mean, Knopfler is one of the best finger pickers of all time. Like acoustically, you know, he's done stuff with Chet Atkins. He's a monster. He's an absolute monster of a player. Just how great Mark Knopfler actually was. But yeah, he always said he never picked by the book. He picked in a way that worked for him. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. I mean, you could try using someone else's way of doing it as a guide, but just know already you're never going to make it sound the same. I don't know anyone who sounds like Knopfler. Even the people that cover his stuff and they're great players, they sound nothing like Mark Knopfler. So you've just got to, you know, create your own touch and all that kind of stuff. Andy Martin plays without a pick. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he kills it without a pick. He does it really, really well. Hey, Shane, I'm playing Thursday to an empty room, but since one of our band members is missing, I'm going to play the bass. Have you ever done that too? I have. I've played bass in a couple of bands over the years. One well before I should have because they didn't have any other options. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. And I clunked my way through it. I love playing bass. Bass is pretty good. I don't know if I've done a full gig in recent memory on bass, but I play bass live a lot at the jams. Like I know my way around all the different blues feels. I can play a lot of like country stuff, as like what I consider country bass. It's maybe not typical country bass, but if we're playing something like Creedence, it's like it's not really like what you'd expect in sort of what would be considered a rock and roll song. So I've learned how to play a lot of those kind of feels. Bass is great, man. It's a different instrument, so just make sure you're listening to the kick, you're listening to the snare, and you've listened to that more than anything else. That'll help you through. Bermudas are triangular. They have the pointy sides and one rounder, but not as round as the other picks. Okay, cool. Do I like the band Dream Theater? You know, I don't really... I've heard of them. I just can't tell you that I know any songs off the top of my head. I've definitely heard the name. I'm one of those guys when it comes to bands. Someone will say, oh, have you heard this? And I'm like, nah. And then I hear it. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know this song. So I may have heard some of their stuff, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So, yeah. Did you try the SG special before you bought the LP special? I'm not an SG guy, man, so I'm not really overly interested in SGs. I've bought them in the past, and I've always sold them. I hate the fact they're always neck heavy. I don't like the way they feel when it's on. It always feels like I'm reaching further than I need to. So it feels like I'm in, where any of my other guitars I'd be in A, but on a SG I'd actually be playing a B. So it feels like I have to reach further down. Where the neck joins the body always confuses me as well. I can appreciate a really great SG. Like, I love listening to great players play SGs. I just can't play an SG. It's not my style. I've tried a number of times to, like, get into it and understand like how to get the most out of it, and it's the only guitar I've played that I can't make it feel natural after a few minutes. It always feels foreign. I've played hundreds of guitars at Jerry's, and anytime I've come up to an SG, there's something about it that just doesn't fit right for me, and it's just not my style. I would probably buy something that would be different to a typical SG, but along those lines in terms of shape, it's balanced to start with. The amount of times I don't wear a guitar strap if I'm sitting down and I have to go turn something up on my sound card, and you've always just got to be cautious of not dropping those things, man. I'm a bit too. Yeah, there's a few things about SGs that I don't love, but I love listening to great ones. That's just the way that it is. I love the Les Paul Special. It's light. It feels good to play. It's balanced. The neck's fat. It feels familiar. It was just a no-brainer. R9 or custom shop Strat? Man, these are questions you can only answer. Do you prefer a Strat or do you prefer a Gibson? Just came to the live stream. What's up from JM? Welcome, man. Cool. Thanks for joining in. We'll probably wrap it up pretty soon anyway. I just thought I'd go live and take some questions, hang out for a bit. It's been a while. Next one we do, I'll try and have my guitar hooked up and all that. I just had this computer set up. I was about to pull it apart, and I thought, nah, I'll go live. Why not? What do I think of Alvin Lee? Alvin Lee's good. 10 years after. I don't know if that's his album or not. I lose track of album names and all that kind of stuff, but I've heard so much great blues over the years. How does the Les Paul neck compare to the Baja Tele? So it's kind of similar in terms of its chunkiness. It's a fat 50s. It's a fat 50s sort of neck on the Les Paul. So the Baja Tele's got one of the nicest necks out there as well, in my opinion, if you like sort of thicker necks. So 20 minutes over. Yeah. It's always the way I lose track of time. It just flies by. Haven't played the right SG. Yeah, it could be that too. Try Derek Truck's model or a 61 special. See, the problem is a lot of the SGs aren't lefties. They do have a lefty in... Yeah, no, is it a 61? Or something. I can't remember. I did try one, but it still had the same inherent issues. It doesn't feel right on. The reach is weird for me. I look down and my reference points are all over the place. It's almost like I'm not even looking at the dots. I'm just looking at where the neck attaches to the body, and that's enough to throw me. So, yeah, I like an SG. I just can't get... They just don't feel comfortable for me to play personally. I'm sure many people would say that about a Flying V, right? It's just how it is, but a Flying V works for me because it's balanced, and where it connects looks a little bit more natural for some of me. I don't know what it is. Pedals in Brazil are quite expensive. So about 4 years ago, I bought my entire pedal board from China. Your reviews are very important to me. Covered all those brands like Kalen, Joyo, and UX. Thanks, man. That was the idea. I went through a stage where I was like, I should just do as many of each brand as I can just to get videos out there. And because it's stuff that a lot of people back then weren't really doing a lot of, like the Kalen stuff. I don't know if I was the first to put videos out on them, but I was definitely the first to go through all the brand, like get a box full of them and just go, all right, let's just get them all done. So, yeah, I'm glad it's been helpful. And I was talking to a friend of mine about Brazil and how expensive things are there for music equipment as well. So, yeah, I totally get it. It's bad here, but it's worse where you live. Can you give us a British time for your live show? So I've been going, the guitar live streams I've been doing and then just sort of pulling down after are usually late night here. So that's somewhat middle. It's about 10 a.m. your time over there. So, yeah, I just like to mix it up. So I've got this interesting effects box sitting here. It's from the 60s, early 70s. It's the Hendrix Live at Woodstock tone. It's basically the same effects in a head that Hendrix was using on the ground. They put it all in one box. And it's epic. It's one of the most expensive things I've ever seen. And I managed to get the tone from Star Spangled Banner pretty much right. So I got a really short video coming up about that. But yeah, wait till you hear this thing. This is pretty funny. Hey, Metalhead, thanks, man. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate that. In the Blues, love the channel. What Strat style guitar would you recommend for the 400 to 600 price range? Depends where you live. So, yeah, just let me know where you are. If you're in Australia, the best value guitar for that price would either be a Squire Classic Vibe used or new. You could probably get one for $600 if you haggle. If you're shopping on the used market, you could get a used Mexican standard Strat or whatever they're called now, the Player Series ones. They're going to be fine. Just trying to think of what else comes in at that price point. You know, you could spend far less and get like a Harley Benton or any of these other ones. But if you want the Fender name, you've kind of got to get a Fender or a Squire. I actually have a video going up tomorrow of a guitar that I would almost throw in this list, but I don't know how much they cost because it's just I haven't looked into it yet. But yeah, it just depends on where you are. So if you're in the US, you could easily buy a Mexican, made in Mexico Strat. You get a what are they called? There's like the Player Series. There's also another one that they came out with that you still might be able to find. Oh, what are they called? Was it like a road worn Strat? Is that what they call it? You might still be able to find those around, but you know, always try playing them as well, because some people prefer the Squire. Some people will, in terms of the classic vibes, some people will like the Made in Mexico stuff better. You just got to try to weigh up price and performance and what you like best as well. And neck shape and all of that kind of thing. Fernando says, sorry if I asked this question before, but I got disconnected. Do you still like the Fender Mustang 3 version 2? Or do you think it's better than the Marshall Code? I much prefer the Fender Mustang version 2 over the Marshall Code. The ones I've tried. Fender Mustang version 2s are great. You know, like even till today, they're still really, really good. Yeah, I prefer them over the Code, just in terms of tone. The Mustang was an amp. Like it's loud enough. It sounds great. The Marshall Code, I don't really feel that way about it. I think they sound okay, but they don't have the same sort of big sound. So, what was the question? I don't still have it anymore. No, I sold it years ago. I sold it probably 3 or 4 years ago. You know, I got the Mustang GT, which I didn't really like at all. I felt like that was a step back. Fender actually emailed me this morning. They're sending me one of the GTX amps, which is brave of them. So, nah, look, I'm gonna try my best to make it work, because they've told me, at least I'm under the impression that these new ones are supposed to be somewhat more better sounding than the old ones. They didn't say it like that, but yeah, I'm interested to see what they're like. I know a lot of people want my opinion on it as well, so we'll see what they're like. But you know what? I have no expectations of them. If they sound better than what I'm hoping, then I understand their position in where they sit in their line. I got to take that into account. They went from an amp you could take out to play live to one that wasn't great live. So I'm tipping that this one probably won't be aimed at live players, but if it has more of that original sort of 3D projection, it's going to be a really cool amp. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Have I played a Keeley Oxblood pedal? No, I don't think so. Let me just double check. Let's have a quick look. I'm not sure what that one is. Oh, that's the Klon. Okay. No is the quick answer, but Brett Kingman's done some videos, so I'd go check his out. Yeah, he's a great player. And guys, Brett's must have reviewed more pedals than like pretty much everybody by now. He'd be the Guinness Book of World Records holder. I just want to double check I haven't done that one. No, I haven't done it. I just did a Google search. But yeah, it looks like another Klon, man. So I always say the best Klon I've tried personally that's a clone that is the best value for money is the Shelly Ponyboy. I still stand by that. I'll type it in. It's handmade in Orange City, Florida. $99. Just unreal. Drone drop tested as well. Hey, Michael, welcome, man. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Welcome, mate. That's cool. Yeah, we were talking about your parts earlier on the stream about the big collaboration video. So thanks again, mate. It was super cool. That was the best fun I've had editing in years, man. I really loved it. So thanks again. You make me want to play dead clean. It was super cool. I just saw your other message. That's hilarious. I joined in on Michael's Instagram live stream the other day. I said, hey, you kind of look like a young John McEnroe. It's like, this guy reminds me of somebody. Who is it? I was like, oh, yeah, the profile from the side. What's my opinion on the Tone Master Twin? I love it, man. I think the Tone Master Twin's a beast. I think it's light, it's loud, it sounds great live, works well with most pedals. It's a total, absolute beast of an amp. I love it. Especially after I had my knee surgery, I didn't want to carry my DSL or my Blues Deluxe or any of my other amps. The Tone Master just made that whole period of time easy, and then I loved it. The second time I used it live, I was like, actually the first time I used it live was amazing, but by the second time I'd worked it out, and I was like, this amp is unreal. Like, why would I take a heavy amp out ever again? So, yeah, I did full written reviews of these as well. You can go check them out. I'll put my website in there. They've had a lot of views and a lot of comments as well on my posts. They're, pros and con reviews as well. Pretty much covering every question, about that and the deluxe reverb. I really hope Fender release a super reverb, a 410s version of the, like a Tone Master one. I'd love to try one of those. I always say you got to try the stuff yourself, right? But I would not hesitate in recommending those to people who are looking for what that amp does. Light, loud, clean. It just does all the good things. Do you like to play with impulse responses? What are your favorite ones? So I got a 2-notes torpedo live, and that's basically replacing the speaker. So you plug your guitar into your amp, you bypass the speaker, you go into the 2-notes, and then you use I've actually got one based on my Swamp Thing speaker. So it sounds pretty much exactly the same. I've got the Swamp Thing speaker, and I've got it mic'd up with a 57 and an E906, and that's the sound of the amp mic'd up. It's really different. So it's a tool for a job, and they work extremely well. I think having the amp there is an absolute benefit as well, because if you're running pedals, you've still got your amp doing part of the work. It's not a completely digital sort of signal path. And not that that's a bad thing either, because the Kemper is profiling your stuff digitally, but it's profiling your sound. So that's really handy too. I just think it depends on the job, man. So, yeah, I have nothing against impulse responses at all. 101 Guitar Lessons, been watching your channel for a while. Keep up the great content. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Is it worth hooking up a mixer to an audio interface just for more slots, depending on a mixer? You can do that, right? But you're going to basically limit your ability to modify each track based on however many inputs you have on your audio interface. So if you've got a 2-channel audio interface, you've got a 10-channel mixer, you're only going to get a stereo send into it, and that might be okay for whatever it is you're doing with it, but it means you can't adjust things very well after the fact. So just keep that in mind. Michael says, thanks for having me. Hey, man, it was super cool. It was super cool. I hope there's another one of these things that comes up at some point. So if you ever want to do one, mate, if you need me, I'll be there. Jade and Peter says, hi, Shane, love your channel. Mate, just picked up a left-handed Fender Player Strat in orange. I like those. I've seen those. Big shout out to Sky Music. Also, cheers. Thanks, man. Yeah, that orange is cool. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, an orange Strat. I was like, oh, that's kind of loud. And then I looked at it, I was like, that's kind of cool. So yeah, congrats. That's super cool. Love your playing. Have you ever played any fingerstyle? Been wanting to get into it lately. I found a guitarist whose music touched me and inspired me to take up fingerstyle. I used to play without a pick for years. I've never really played a lot of like acoustic fingerstyle stuff, like what would be considered traditional, but I love putting the pick in my mouth and just playing. So yeah, I don't play fingerstyle in the sense of like a folk guitarist would do it. I'm not that sort of player, but I love playing with my fingers. Absolutely. There's certain things you can do, hammer-ons and pull-offs and that are just easier without a pick. Only 67 thumbs up. Let's hit 90. That's from Jamal. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Let's see if we can get it. What are we up to? 67. Oh, I got 70 up and 1 down. There's always one person who doesn't like someone else's opinion. That's always how it works. It's part of the YouTube fun. I love when you launch a video and there's already a thumbs down and you're like, no one watched it. How did that happen? It's like within an instant. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. We've got 91 people here. We might wrap it up in a second. Take a couple more questions and then I'll get out of here and I'll dismantle the desk in this room. They had the burnt orange baritone tally years ago, so they don't make it anymore. Cool. Yeah, I've seen plenty of orange guitars lately. I went to Casey's Rock Shop before the lockdown, and they had quite a number of different orange guitars from Fender. I was like, oh, this is cool. So yeah, the baritone one I don't remember seeing. So. I had a Vox hand-wired AC30, the blonde one with the Alnico blues. Cool. When I tuned down the string to G for open G tuning, yeah, it makes a noise like a chopstick dragging across a clay bowl. Yeah, it sounds like one of your preamp or power amp valves is oscillating. So there's something about it, about these valves. It's pretty common, especially for amps made in China. No offense to them, but it happens all the time. You hit a note and you can hear something rattle. I actually did a video actually about diagnosing amp rattle because there's about 10 things to look for. It might not even be the valves. It could just be something is loose. Handle could be loose on the inside. There's all these things you should look for before you replace the valves. But generally, that kind of metallic-y sort of scraping sound is an oscillating valve. It's not 100% of the time. Sometimes it's the chassis is loose or the reverb tank or something needs like a slight screw here or there tightened or something. Oh, they don't have reverb actually, but yeah, sometimes it's other things. But if a frequency triggers a rattle, it's generally that, but it could be a number of other things too. I did it. Yeah, type in diagnosing amp rattle into YouTube. It should come up. Casey's in Baronia. Nice lads there. Yeah, I'm out this way. So, yeah, I'm not too far from that shop there. Gigs with the Tone Master Twin just before COVID-19. Worked really well. Yeah, they're awesome. I really feel like you get it up to full power or 22 to some extent, but the last two power settings ones that you want it on, 85 and 50. And, man, it is unreal. It's just got the biggest bloom of sound. Yeah. Totally cool. Spent half a day looking for amp rattle. Turned out to be the printer in the room. Well, there you go. See, my heater rattles at certain frequencies out here. It's one of those old gas ones. They got the bars across them, and there's some frequencies that just trigger that to buzz. It's shocking. What's the longest any individual pedal has stayed in your live setup? I'd probably say like there's been a few pedals that have stood the test of time and that I still sometimes cycle around. But Royal Flush dual overdrive pedal is still one of the best. The Carrera Buffalo Effects overdrive is great as well. I love the Maxon Overdrive Pro. I use that in a Klon exclusively for years. So those two were two that I loved. I also, at one stage, loved the Plimsoll. But I can't really get into that pedal anymore. It's just my taste has changed. But, yeah, the Royal Flush and the Carrera is the best combination of two pedals I've ever used. They stack well together. They complement each other. Everything about that combination is great. But if I ever need to just put a clon on, take the Carrera off, plonk the clon down, and that works great too. So, yeah, I've got a few that I love, but delays, I used the Boss DD7 for a long time. That was a really great pedal too. So I've just always, as stuff comes in for review, sometimes I'm like, I'll try this. And I'm like, oh, that's really good. All right, so that's the new delay pedal. It's sometimes that simple. Do I know Michael Dolce? No, I don't. I know Rick knows him. So, yeah, I don't know him. What was my first electric guitar? I got a Squire Gold Series Strat. And I ended up having Texas Specials put in there. There's a red Strat, rosewood fingerboard. Gold Series Squire is basically, they don't really make that series anymore, but it was a better made instrument than the Squires of today for a bass instrument. Like, they were a good few $100 back when I got mine. And the logo was gold. That's what we called them here. I don't know if that's the terminology for them or not. It was just the Squire Strat, but yeah, the Texas Specials, plonked them in there. It was great. I kind of wish I still had that guitar because I feel like it almost wouldn't sound any different now to how I can make any number of the other guitars sound. It's strange, but it would have been fine. Things are opening up in Melbourne. On Monday in Melbourne, I'm wondering if the music shops will be opening. I don't think they're going to hold off opening for anything coming up. This is going to kill a lot of businesses. It just, totally sucks. So hopefully they open up. Some of them have been open, right? But no one's going to go shopping for a guitar now unless you really need it. Most people are going to be buying stuff online, or they're just going to wait. And I think that's been the problem with anyone that stayed open. Even if they shouldn't have, no one's going to go because they would assume everywhere's shut. Ever played a Powerhouse Strat, like a Mexico clapped? What about whereabouts do I play blues jams? Well, I've been going up to one in Olinda at the Mount Dandenong Hotel for years and years and years. So that's pretty much the main one. There's a few others that I've been to. There's many others I've been to over the years, but I don't go to any of the blues jams in the city or Melbourne MBAS ones or anything like that. They're shocking. I can't handle that. I want to go somewhere that's fun. What about Echo FX? I don't know Echo FX. All right, John. So I've answered this question you can go to guitarpedaldemos.com about the deluxe reverb and the twin, and you can decide which one's best for you. I would buy the twin in a heartbeat over the deluxe. There's no benefit of the deluxe reverb, in my opinion. It just doesn't make sense. So my Strat copy buzzes when I play G flat on any string with the neck position. Hang on. In any neck position, even when I play acoustically, something under the pickguard, I think. I'm not too sure what you mean, man. Sorry. You're saying when you fret a note, you're getting buzz on the string. A lot of electric guitars will buzz a little bit when you play a string without it being plugged in, but you shouldn't hear it when you play. That's usually how it works. You never really get a buzz-free electric on every note. It doesn't sort of work like that, but you don't hear those overtones when you're plugged in. Most Strats and Tellies are like that, unless you've got the action really, really high. Have I ever tried the Vox Cooltron Dual Overdrive? I always come back to this pedal. I don't know, but it suits the Strat Boogie Studio 22 the best. I haven't tried that one. No, Vox do make some cool pedals. I've tried a few of their old ones. Well, not that old, maybe 10 years ago. But yeah, no, I haven't tried that one. Clinton says, hey, Shane, about to pull the trigger on an Artist Creamtone 20R. Can you tell me if the clean sound stays clean with the gain low and the master high. It does. On the most part, it stays pretty clean, but it's not going to be super loud like that, right? So there's two channels. There's like a clean channel with you got a master volume as well. But as long as you keep the volume around 9 o'clock, I'm going to say somewhere around there. And if you turn the master up, one thing about the cream tone is it's not overly loud, but you can still get a clean sound out of it, right? It's 20 watts, but it doesn't feel as loud as the tweed tone, which has also a dedicated clean channel. But the cream tone is a cleaner amp, in my experience, overall. It doesn't have as much gain. It still has a bit of gain, but it's a different kind of sound. Look, all I can tell you, man, if you don't like it, I'm pretty sure they'll refund you. They're a good company like that. So, yeah, I always use the second gain stage on that amp here at home. I never use the clean channel as much as the second gain stage. Even that doesn't have much gain until you start pushing it. So, and then it can go into sort of crazy territory. But yeah, just crank the master and keep it on the left channel, and then just bring up the volume a little bit. You should be able to get a pretty good clean tone out of it. But it's 20 watts, right? So you're never going to get the same headroom out of that as a 40-watt amp. No way. Oh, there you go. Richard says, my local music shops has a drive up to the roller door service. That's cool. Buy it online, drive there to pick it up, and never get out of your car. Well, that's cool. Yeah, look, it just depends on where the music shops are, I think, as well. Like Roy was saying, more people are buying instruments. Yeah, you might be right. There might be more online sales, but there's a lot of shops that rely on just people walking in and going, wow, I didn't know you had this. I'll buy it. And that's, yeah, not everyone likes to buy guitars online. So I'm sure they're taking a hit. I'm also sure that they're probably selling more stuff online. You're right, but whether that equals out to the shops that are known for, lots of foot traffic is another thing. It's hard to generalize. I don't know. I recently took out my two Stratocasters and realized that all the Strats are. Hang on, sorry, it just moved. I realized I recently took out my other Stratocasters and realized that I have the Strats I'll ever need. Well, there you go. My American FSR, that's great. Is a pleasure to play. My mate in Mexico, Monterey Pop. Man, those Hendrix Strats are great. The Monterey ones, they're unreal. I heard Ryan play one of those at that Sky Music shop here, and it's like, man, that's great. It's so good. All right. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. It's been probably closer to 2 hours, so my throat's starting to go. But hey, thanks for hanging out, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I got a couple of fun videos. I'm going to do a live premiere. It'll either be live, it'll either go live maybe late tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm not too sure yet, but I'll work it out and schedule it in. There's a bit of a fun unboxing coming up. It's a little bit surprising to say the least. I'll leave it there because it's something that I've never tried, never seen until yesterday. So, yeah, I want you to share that experience online with me if you're around. So I'll schedule that up and you can check that out. That'll be coming up pretty soon. It's still uploading, so it takes forever. So, yeah. Have I heard anything about whether Hamer is still in business? I haven't. I don't know much about that brand. Sorry. All right, guys. I tell you what. Have a good night. Have a good day. I'm going to get some food and get out of here. But, yeah, if I missed your question, I apologize. Sometimes the chat is like stays in one spot and then all of a sudden it goes and moves right up. So, yeah, I don't mean to gloss over anybody's questions here or comments, but sometimes I miss stuff. So thanks again, everyone. Also, everyone who uses the super chat, all the thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one. I'll try and do a bit of a late night jam one again too. So if you don't have notifications on, I've got the stream working again, so you won't get spammed. So you can click it on again